Rise and shine. Pour yourself a cup of coffee and tune in to Good Morning Aurora. News, weather, and really cool interviews. Monday through Friday from 8 to 9 a.m.
Good morning, Aurora. Good morning, Aurora. Good morning, Aurora.
Good morning, Aurora.
We are here. We are here. We are here. You are tuned into, you are watching, you are listening to another episode of Jenettesplaining. That's what it is.
On Good Morning Aurora, the second largest first daily podcast. I'm going to bring my mic closer so y'all can hear me. Is that helpful? Is that helpful, audience? Okay.
How you feeling this morning?
I'm good. I came not gonna lie, came in from the city. Traffic a little rough this morning. So holler if you're living in the place where you work or close to, because commuting is awful and I don't know why anybody ever does it. And I was doing a reverse commute and that was still awful. No. Last time I had to do it, it was so bad. They sent me down 55, which is like a nightmare. So forget commuting, man. Didn't we all agree that we didn't have to do this anymore? Yeah.
We did all concur.
We're no, actually, society can still mostly function if we never get into our cars again. And yet here we are. So I don't know why we decided that all the good things from the pandemic were nah.
Well, here we are, and here you all are as well. Let's clap for all of y'all. Good morning, dear people. Good morning to all of you wonderful, awesome people. Josue, what's up? What up? Okay, so we got things to talk about today.
Let's say that. Let's go ahead and tell the people that we have things, and we'll just make shit up. It'll be great. I'm here for it. guys.
Well,
we only make up a little bit of stuff. Mostly it's actual legit stuff.
We make up. This is only on Fridays, you guys. So
it's only on Fridays. The rest of it. That's right.
But what we have when it comes to making things up, we could call it creativity.
It's just And
we have art.
We're just really honest about it.
Exactly.
Yeah, we don't call it an alternate truth or an alternate fact. It's just we just say I might be making this up, so just bear with me.
That's a good point.
Yeah. Transparency.
But we have news on art.
We do.
Which, in regards to being made up, is creativity.
It is. That's true.
So there's a mural coming to downtown. You guys remember we told you about Bombed a Lot, and we told you about Back the Vax. We have
all of the art events happening, and this is not an event. This is more permanent art installation, and who's not excited for that? So first of all, shout out to the lovely Jen Evans. She who with the claps. For the head of the Aurora Public Art Commission and her team over there, because they are advancing two contracts that would put two new murals on the walls here in Aurora. So the first one is going on the actually this is really kind of funny because it's going on the Midwest Bank building. It's going on the bank building that's at the corner of like Galena and 25. And if you remember when we had those riots not that all that long ago, that building got tore up, right? Like it was covered in graffiti, broken windows. It was like the epicenter of like where the first like water bottles got lobbed, right? It was ground zero for the civil disturbances. And so now that building is going to have some murals on it on a diversity theme, which is kind of cool. Profiles of people.
I mean, kind of cool. That's like
no, that's really cool. No, it's really cool. It's early. Hold on, coffee.
Yo, y'all sip it up.
Yeah, so the mural is going to be a 30 by 52-foot artwork featuring profiles of people of different ethnic and racial backgrounds on the east-facing wall of the building. So not on the Galena side, right? We're gonna keep it tidy in the front and party in the back. It's gonna be the mullet building, is what I've just dubbed it. But I'm punchy today.
I like that though. That was pretty dope. I pictured it real quick in my mind. Like, where's she going with that? Oh yeah.
Yeah, look, tidy in the front, party in the back. No, there's gonna it'd be on. Yeah. Yes. Okay. So yeah, and 30 by 52 is not a small mural, so that'll be exciting. And then the other one is going. Okay, here's the thing on this one. We almost called this segment, so here's the thing, by the way. Yeah, the other one is going on the BNSF like tracks, like they're like one of the underpass thingies, which, yeah, this one sounds super cool too. It's gonna be Mexican folk art on the north concrete wall under the Burlington tracks at New York near LaSalle. So, all right, so the train tracks that go straight through downtown New York Street. I'm just picture this in your brain. You're on New York Street by LaSalle. So like just starting to go up the hill there. And that I feel like I just really hope that the concrete doesn't all fall off before they paint it is my concern there.
I hope, because like if the next time, listen guys,
because like
this now, when you're driving under there, look up.
Yeah.
If you're parked under there, look up at the structure. Look up at the.
It's just a little terrifying.
It is. Well, we know it's structurally sound because otherwise the city wouldn't be having trains and public transportation going over, including Amtrak. But
right.
I mean, what's the?
Not that infrastructure in this country has ever failed catastrophically and killed many people. Not that that's ever happened.
Right. Now here's the thing, real quick. One deal is a memo of understanding between the city and JH Real Estate Partners, LLC.
That's the owner of the building. Yeah,
right?
of the Midwest Bank building. Mm-hmm.
Midwest Bank building. So, yeah, I can't wait for the art.
I'm super excited. And what makes me really happy about these is, there's it's very clear that the Public Art Commission is taking seriously the calls that have been out in the community. And I don't think that they've ever not taken the issue of diversity in art seriously and equity and representation. But, there's been a continued and renewed call and shout out to those people putting pressure on everyone making decisions in our community about whose faces and whose art and whose culture gets represented on our buildings and in our art. But it's very clear based on kind of what they're planning to install here that they're listening to that and responding. So.
Shout out to Jen Evans, Royal Public Art, and Jen Evans will be on the show. Jen, I'm going to send you that text a little bit on Monday. Word up.
Yay. She's lovely. She's a lovely guy. I love
So the link to this is coming. I'll put it in the chat for you guys momentarily. The time is now 8:10 a.m. How are you guys feeling today? How do you feel? Are you feeling upbeat? Are you feeling good? Are you a little morose? That's the word of the day, morose.
Morose. Good one.
Morose.
Okay.
Word up. Okay. I got a quick headline for you guys, real quick.
Headline.
In fact, it's not exactly a headline. It's more like
L News.
L News.
Breaking news.
You should have seen the way Jeanette looked when she said L News was wonderful. November 8th, Illinois voting rights law makes Election Day a state holiday for schools and universities.
Wait.
Did you guys
Wait,
Yeah,
because fine, but like people in schools can't, like kids can't vote. Like what? Like, and so this is great, right? And I am a huge fan of national holidays for vote. Like don't work. Look, we've talked it before about democracy sausage, right? And
word up. That's a word up.
So democracy sausage, if you missed this episode, and I don't know how you could because I know that you listen to all of these episodes, like you just binge them on Spotify on the weekends, right?
Right. Saturday, tomorrow, you got pajamas, tea, and GMA.
That's right. But we've tried, so democracy sausage is this practice in Australia where they celebrate their democracy by giving everybody the day off. And then you go and vote. And outside of all your voting centers, your nonprofit groups, like your Boy Scouts and like whatnot, they all have like hot dog stands basically. And so you go and you vote and then you go buy like a hot dog and support like the local, like, I guess it's not an American Legion because it's in Australia, but like whatever, like the nonprofit organizations all over, right? So you celebrate the people doing the fine work of democracy and also vote. So
you want some of this raspberry almond crunch bar?
I kind of do, but I kind of can't. Man, the carbs, they're getting me. Office carbs are back, people. Right?
All right, but I didn't mean to distract you. So Australia.
So okay. So no, this is my rant. This is my tangent on voting being a national holiday, which it absolutely should be. So I totally missed the headline. No, it's Illinois. Illinois is giving. Okay, and we're giving schools off. That's great. Here's the problem with that: is he's distracting me with the raspberry thingy, and it looks really good. Now parents got to figure out what to do with their kids also on the day when they're going to vote, because B, we haven't given the day off to all the workers too, right? Like for this to work, everybody needs off, and like everybody, like Christmas, everybody, not like
wait a minute.
Not like Columbus Day / Indigenous Peoples Day.
So we're not talking like, third graders.
Well, sure, but we're also talking about third graders. And to be fair, I never had more free time in my life than when I was an undergrad. Man, and I thought I had it so hard, right? Shout out to all my people in college right now who feel just completely slammed, because I believe you, but also it just only gets worse from here, guys. So, because you're only in classes like, 10 hours a week, something like that, right? And it's a lot, and then you got to study, and I get that. And then you're from Aurora, which means you also have a job too, right? You're working while you're in school, right? And then you got extracurriculars, you got all the things. But man, like you can find, they're not the ones I'm worried about finding time to vote. The people they should get the day off but so should everybody, right? So should the clerk at the gas station. So should, right? Like, so should everybody. So
you should only be working unless you want to go into work to your store.
Right. And you should stop at your polling center, or, we could just like expand mail-in voting everywhere and not keep having these fights over access to ballots.
We just saying y'all can do what you want to do.
I'm just saying. All right. End rant. But like.
All right. Hold on one moment. Good morning to Alyssa Ocone and Norma Peterson. That's a word. So our people are telling us
They just don't want another day off. Right?
month of TGIF, Aurora, good morning to you. Mullet Building, they like that. I like that.
The Mullet Building? Yeah, we've officially, because the
That's the new name of that.
Midwest Bank Building is not that inspiring, and it's also just what's in there. It's not actually the name of the building. I'm sure it has a real name.
Right.
But yeah, no, we're now calling that the Mullet Building.
Josue tells us that he thinks that they should make voting a national holiday. Talking about hot dogs, don't forget Sunday hot dogs, 215 West Galena Boulevard. Yeah, that's word up.
That's
Tracy
right.
Durant, hello there, good morning.
I mean, I don't even eat hot dogs. It could be a veggie sausage of some kind, right? You should have options for your democracy sausage, but or sides and things, right? Like expand the palate. But man, a day off and a really terrible food for you that also supports like your local Cub Scouts. I'm here for that.
That's the kind of world we all
That's
want to live
the
in.
world I want to live in.
Yeah, I want a nice,
not
a nice bratwurst type of America.
Yeah,
That's what I'm looking
not
for.
getting arrested for handing out water,
Right, exactly.
to people waiting in line for hours.
And make statues to great people like Enrico Fermi, as opposed to the worst.
Oh man, are
The
we
time is now
on the
8:17.
Columbus
I said
statue?
The time is now 8:17.
Oh no.
The time.
I
See the
mean,
rabbit hole, walk away from it. Okay, here's the thing.
no, I was
Now
digging the
let's-
rabbit hole.
I was digging it too,
Look.
but the time is now 8.
All right, fine.
Okay, here's the thing. I got one more piece of L news, and then we're gonna get to topic number 2.
Más noticias.
Because we have many friends of many different backgrounds and persuasions, we would like to say a happy Eid al-Adha or Eid Mubarak to our Muslim neighbors here in Aurora.
Yes. So yeah, the end of Ramadan, right? Everybody gets to break their fast, have a big party, sacrifice and stuff, and hand it out to friends and family and the less fortunate. So yeah, an excellent holiday. I'm here for that. Are you? Is anyone celebrating? If you're celebrating, let us know.
Yeah, if you're celebrating, let us know in the chat.
Yeah.
Let us know in the chat. I am interested in learning about many things,
Yes.
especially if it involves food. Okay.
Yes. Yeah. Right. That's the thing that people don't know about ramen. Like, I feel like in the general consciousness in America, the only thing that people know about Ramadan is that you fast, right? Because when it hits during basketball season, there's always like the guys. Like this is how we know anything about religious diversity in this country is when it starts affecting our sports, right? So like in the NBA, you've got the guys fasting, and it's like towards the end of like the season or whatever, and then like, oh my God, they're fasting. No, like just during the day, guys. Like you then get to have like a big feast party at night. So it's like
I ain't watching the damn Milwaukee Bucks.
Now,
but it's diversity.
no, it's like rough if it happens in the summer, right? Because the calendar shifts, and then it's a really, really long day to go without like food. But then you get to have like a little party in the evening, so that's nice.
All right. So let's move on. So there, you guys may have noticed that the time is 8:19. You guys may have noticed we talked about 2 weeks. No, it was about 2-3 weeks ago.
Oh yeah.
There was an officer who attempted to perform a traffic stop. We gave the link to the chat, so I'm going to paraphrase. I am paraphrasing. While performing a traffic stop, one of the occupants got out. The driver subsequently tried to leave as he was dealing with the occupant that got out. Another occupant got out, and a physical confrontation ensued. That is my paraphrasing of the incident. Now, that officer, or rather the youths involved, are now charged with attempted murder. Put the link in the chat for you guys here momentarily. But yes, actually, 3 people accused of beating up an Aurora police officer following a traffic stop last month are now facing attempted first-degree murder charges in connection with the incident. That's according to police and Kane County State's Attorney officials. State's Attorney Office officials. A 24-year-old, 26-year-old, and a 28-year-old charged with multiple felonies. Did you guys see that video? What did you guys think about it? Let us know in the chat. The time is 8:20.
Yeah, man. Did you watch the video? I did not.
I did not.
Full disclosure, I did not watch the video. I
typically don't watch the videos of these of incidents.
Yeah, right. It's I mean, most of the time these sorts of videos, like the dash cams and the body cams and all that, they're getting released for incidents that are usually the opposite, right? Where it's the cop is being accused of, shooting someone they probably shouldn't, or, torturing people or something, things of that nature. So there's this element of like, and there's been this big discussion kind of out in the world about like trauma porn, right? And how we just kind of keep, there's an element to which confronting these kinds of things honestly is a good thing, and like that people need to be kind of woke up to like to seeing like what actually happens. But then there's also this element of like of Schadenfreude, right? Like of people watching these sorts of things like you'd watch Cops, right? Like that's not healthy. This is kind of the opposite of that, right? Where they've released this footage, and it's the opposite, right? It's the folks getting arrested who are getting charged now with pretty awful crime. And I don't have a lot to say to it other than, gosh, I don't know if I have words. Do you? Like, it's not often that you catch me.
No, yeah, it's not. I got words. I'll say this because I haven't watched the entire video in full. I didn't push play and watch the whole thing to the end. But from what I saw, I will say this.
Well, so question: do you typically watch the videos? Like, did you watch George Floyd? Like, I feel like that's the one that most people have seen.
I was going to mention that.
Because I did not.
Here's my thing. If Derek Chauvin could be charged with only second-degree murder, how could what we watch in this video be attempted murder? But that's the thing about not being a lawyer.
Yeah, and is it attempted, attempted first degree? Yeah, yeah, I feel unqualified, and it's very rare that I say this. I feel unqualified to make a strong statement, but yeah, it was attempted first degree murder charges in this case.
But I will say that, like, even if there is a tape, right? This is my basic thought for whatever it is. So Rodney King all the way to Trayvon Martin. Even if there is a tape, Laquan McDonald's a perfect example, right? Even if there is or if there is not, it doesn't take away from what the incident is. And in this incident, I wouldn't as a novice agree with attempted murder. But I don't see any plausible defense for the accused. I mean, I don't know how they're gonna. What is the sandwich gonna look like that attorney is going to have to construct to make any plausible argument in favor of a less than serious charge for all three of them? Good luck with that. So first degree or attempted murder coming from the Kane County State's Attorney, that's one thing. Who is going to take that pile of steaming?
Yeah, like strangulation.
Who's gonna make that? Who's gonna square that circle?
Right. It's gonna be like a little. So what you're saying is like it's gonna be a little tricky for them to argue like self-defense when it's like a strangulation sort of thing. Is that like kind of
not tricky, but what we typically see almost in all cases is a clear violation of civil rights by the authority figure, aka police, in this conversation. That's not the case here. it's so far from the case.
Yeah.
Right? It's so far from the case that I don't see, like,
Yeah.
is there even a defense? Is there a defense?
Yeah, I mean,
This is one of those cases where I look and I'm like, wow, there's no plausible.
yeah, this is a fascinating one. And
I mean, it's like Jordan versus Tiger trying to play basketball. I mean, this is not going to go well, right? I mean, I just don't get it. But that's why I'm not a lawyer, and we leave these things to our
it'll
legal experts,
it'll
right?
be interesting to see a little bit more what comes out of the trial and stuff too. I mean, this is one of those areas where, like, when this kind of thing happens, then suddenly, people are going to rush to use this kind of incident to debunk the what's happening in the national discourse, right? They're gonna say, like, look, it's not that, like, policing is messed up and, like, that, we're targeting black people, and, like, that's not, it's gonna, like, it's on both sides, right? It's just as dangerous to be a cop. Like,
That's already happening.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So that narrative is the kind of thing that comes out of
They got
these
coffee cups with this guy's name on
these
them.
oh
Yeah.
yeah, that narrative is the kind of thing that comes out of these incidents, and I want to just encourage people to look beyond a single incident and to look at the wider structural, historic arc of how black people in our society have been treated, and not just reduce it to, like, oh, but this incident, oh, but that incident, oh, but this incident, oh, but that incident, and look at trends, look at history, look at the structures that are in place that, like, some guys, and it's kind of funny, right? Because on the opposite end of this, like, kind of argument, right, you've got like, you'll hear the narrative from people in policing who say, look, policing's not broken, there's just a couple of a-holes, right? And we just need to get rid of those. And so it almost feels like I'm almost want to make that same argument and be like, look, these guys are just a-holes who shouldn't, and you shouldn't strangle people.
Word.
But,
Yeah,
like,
that's true.
so maybe it's true, but like, maybe, and there are just jerks everywhere, right? But that doesn't mean that you get to ignore the structural racism that has been inherent in law enforcement and in our economic systems and in our education systems and in all the ways that make movements like Black Lives Matter so important. Like, there's jerks everywhere. That doesn't mean that this is a story of just a couple of individuals being jerks.
And the tragedy, we talked about this last week. The tragedy for me is that, look at the 24, 26, and 28. I mean, the case,
your lives are now over.
It's not looking good. But I will say this, though. This also matters. Like, it is a tragedy also, because, like, for the cops who are out there who are just gonna not even give you that ticket for that broken tail light, whatever the hell it was, whatever. For those actual, like, cops that are out there,
good,
right? Like, this is many steps back. The time is now 8:29 a.m.
Well, yeah, it's a stressful job. It's only getting more stressful, right? Because of just this whole, it's only getting more stressful, and that what that does is make people who would want to be in those kinds of positions, who would be good at it, the kind of people you want to see in it, burn out faster, right?
Right.
So.
All right. So the time is now 8:30. Let's do. Now we got What's up with the cost of cemeteries and dead people? I mean, I don't want to get too morbid.
No, we're going there.
I don't want to get too morbid.
No, we're going there.
Depending on what.
Okay.
So we jump from that to.
Okay, look.
How dead are these people? What?
Well, they're okay. So I don't want to talk. I don't want to speak too lightly of this because these are people. This is a story about people who have been dead for a very long time, but that doesn't mean that they aren't still.
Let's dance around this.
Let's
dance.
Yeah, that doesn't mean that there aren't still people like living who are living with the memory of these people and all that. But, so there's Denise Crosby, columnist for the Beacon, a longtime columnist for the Beacon News, wrote a fascinating column this week. Yes, if you didn't catch it, about the West Side grave, like the West Aurora graveyard. So this is the one. It's on, it's barely west. It's on Lake Street. It's one of the graveyards on Lake Street, and it's got 6,000 people buried in there. And some of them go all the way back to the 1830s, so the very founders of Aurora. And there's not really a lot of money to keep this thing going. Because if you think about the business model of your average cemetery, it's not super sustainable unless you've got some investments or something going, right? Because I die and my family pays for me to get buried, and then that's it. And then eventually we run out of space in the cemetery, so you don't have new people paying for someone to get buried, which means you don't have any money but you still have this land that you have to take care of, and you really have to take care of it because, oh my God, it's the final resting place for dead people. And so if you're the kind of person, if you see the world in such a way that the final resting places of people who have passed are deserving of a significant amount of respect, then you have to put all this money into things like mowing the lawn and keeping the trees looking, taking care of the trees and keeping
repairing the damage to a stone.
Right. Yes. And all of these things. Right. So there are ongoing costs for cemeteries, but not a lot of new cash coming in. So it's kind of so they're looking at different options. And in other communities, what happens sometimes is the township will take over the cemeteries, right? So this is one of the very basic original functions of townships was to run the cemetery, and they do in a lot of areas. Oswego Township runs several of them, and the township cemeteries are very often the oldest ones in the town, but there's not a lot of interest in Aurora Township taking over a thing that's basically a liability, right? Because again, there's no money coming in, and it would just be taxpayer dollars going out to maintain this thing. So then it's so the question is, okay, if government's not going to take it over and there's no private funding coming in, what do you do? So I don't know. There's some really fascinating things you could do with cemeteries. From an urban planning perspective, cemeteries, before anyone invented the idea of the park, right? The park. Yes.
I like how you said that before anybody invented the idea of the park.
No, wait, but hear me out here, because this is a mind-bending idea that I learned one day, and I was like, oh, duh. And that's that somebody had to invent parks, because prior to cities being a thing, everything was just nature, right? You just lived in a small town. You lived in a village somewhere, and there was just open, fresh space with trees and growing things around you everywhere you were.
Right.
But then we urbanized, and we created these cities. And sometime in the mid-19th century, the cities started to get really bad. They got really crowded, right, as we continued to urbanize as a society. And people got sick. Tuberculosis was a huge problem. You had all the, typhoid was, but you had all these new urban issues. And one of them was crime and morality. And there was this belief that people, it was a lack of fresh air and green space that made people immoral and prone to crime. So someone invented parks. They were like, wait, let's put green
Who was the
spaces.
person who invented
I
parks?
don't know. There's like I don't know that it was one person. It was like a movement towards
Oh, like
green
the temperance
spaces.
movement.
Sort, yeah. I mean,
Not
out
like
of that
it
same,
came out of
that same sort of like, well, the masses,
OMG,
like poor people are immoral. How do we lift them up, right? And there's all kinds of like classism and racism baked into this, but the idea that we got out of it was the modern urban park. So, like in Chicago, Chicago was one of the cities kind of at the forefront of this whole thing, right? You see like parks like Humboldt Park where you have like ponds and things where you can go cool off, right? They're like cooler, like because you've got heat domes in cities, right? You have like the lakefront, right? Burnham lobbied to keep the lakefront like open so that all of the city, like no matter how much or how little you make, right, you have access to fresh air and beaches and grass and trees and so on. But prior to anybody inventing the park, people just went to the cemetery. So it was like a thing you would do on Sunday afternoons was you'd pack up your picnic basket and you would take the family to the cemetery and you'd go sit in the graves, like amongst the graves, because there's trees and there's grass and that's where you got your fresh air. So there is, I don't know, maybe it becomes a park. Just go throw that out there. You got to be careful because, again, there's dead people buried under there and you want to have a certain reverence. But like you have options for what you do with cemeteries, just not a lot of them, but that could be one of them.
Beautification, like in cemeteries, I think goes a long way too. It looks
sure.
really, yeah, like
Sure, they go from being creepy and falling apart, right, to being like, I mean, we could just like amp up it could just be a park where the goths hang out, That's fine.
let's not give them any idea. I actually used to do that though, like back when I was young. A couple of friends, we used to hang out like close because the cemetery that I kind of grew up by, one of the corners of the fence kind of collapsed, and then I think the city tried to rebuild it in some strange fashion using wood and like then they barbed wired it and all this other kind of stuff. But people would still go in there and walk through because it crossed the highway.
Sure.
And yeah, you go in there, chill out.
Yeah.
Quiet.
Yeah. It's quiet. It's peaceful. There's like some people.
Not that we advocate hanging out in.
I mean, you know what?
cemeteries.
Actually, I am. I'm going to go ahead and advocate, be respectful for people who are there, right? But yeah, sure. You need some peace and quiet. Go hang out in a cemetery. No, but like this is a viable option, right? Like making it an actual like a space that can be for both the living and the past, right?
Okay. On the topic of cemeteries, we have
More breaking news. More L news. Moth news.
Moss L News about cemeteries.
God.
There are also volunteer opportunities for the West Aurora Cemetery too. On July 31st, they're asking for help for maintaining and weeding. The West Aurora Cemetery is seeking volunteers to help with pruning and weeding at the cemetery. Please wear gloves, bring pruners if possible, and sign a waiver when you arrive. The dates are July 31st at 9 a.m., August 1st at 1 p.m. The address 601 Wilder Street. Word up.
Yeah. So look, again, it's a if you don't get out and dig around in grass and like weeds and things, it's good for the soul, right? So yeah, a space for the living and those not living anymore.
Hey now, don't dream us over.
Oh my.
Hey now.
Well, at least I get that reference.
Jeanette doesn't
No, I know that song.
like. Oh, you do.
No, I do know that
I was
song.
gonna say you don't like
I
my
was-
singing, and you don't like my singing. All right. So I actually had something to talk about.
Oh.
I wanted to bring up to you guys.
All right.
Get your opinion on this before we get to our next topic, which is going to have. We're going to talk about the city council set to vote on city hall changes. You guys I told you just the other day that there is an apartment complex being created. It's in the talks. It is coming, and it's going to be right next to River Edge Park. I think there's 246 units, and it's going to cost, was it $70 million? I told you guys about this on Monday. I saw something yesterday. I've seen a couple of comments, but this one made me kind of want to bring it up, and I want to put this in all of our brains and Jeanette's brain real quick. The people
rattling around in there.
People are thinking, I'm seeing stuff. Oh, this is the G word they're using. This is looming gentrification. The idea is that, for those of you who don't know what it is, the idea is that things like this new apartment building, they're going to go right next to River Edge Park, across from the metro.
Transit-oriented housing, yes,
right.
That is what they call it.
Things like that are indications that the city wants to get rid of Black and brown people. Now, I personally don't...
Well, first of all, they're still going to have a long way to go if they really want to...
I don't look at it... I don't look at it like that. I don't... I'm not that dramatic with it, but... my opinion doesn't run the world. Our opinion doesn't run the world. What do you guys think? And Jeanette, what the hell do you think about it?
Okay, so blanket statement when it comes to questions of gentrification versus inclusive housing. You can do... If you want to see investment in communities, you have to have rooftops, right? You have to have a certain, so here's what happens when developers come in and they say, or when a business is trying to decide, like a chain or anything, like a national company is trying to say, like, do I want to put my Trader Joe's in this neighborhood, right? Like, or my grocery store or whatever, right? They put a pin down where they're considering locating, and then they draw a circle around it, and the circle is how far they think people are willing to drive or walk or whatever to get to their business, and then they multiply the number of rooftops by the average amount of income, right? So, and if it doesn't hit that target number, you're not getting that Trader Joe's. Now, do we want a Trader Joe's? I don't know. Do we want a Starbucks? I don't know. No, we don't want a Starbucks. We have so many good coffee shops. Shout out to Tribal Society 57 for keeping this crew well caffeinated.
Yeah, the only thing that we will take is Dunkin', though. We will take
No,
Dunkin'.
Are you kidding? No.
All right, well, let's change the subject.
Okay.
Back to what we're talking about.
Moving on.
So, arguing over coffee on air, that's not good.
Okay, so... but that's for any business to succeed, right? You have to have enough people around your business who make enough disposable income to be able to like float you. And that's not just the chains, right? The chains have these very sophisticated algorithms and things like that to figure out like where we're going to locate. But it also means like for our like amazing, unique like boutique shops and stuff like that, right? All of the places in downtown Aurora that you want to visit, they need more than just you. They need other people who have more money than you do, right? Because if you're listening to the show, we know where we know where you're at on the income spectrum, probably.
What kind of statement is that? What kind of statement is that?
That's not.
We've got the richest people.
That's not
we've got the richest. We are.
That's not a criticism. That's me simply saying that the reach of this program is Aurora, and
every now and then you see like a silver wig walk across the floor.
Sure. No, that is me simply indicating that the people who listen to this show are mostly from Aurora, and that the average income in this community is lower than in many of our neighboring communities, right? And in order, if you want to see a thriving community that is rich in both like culture and also in like, can I buy the thing I need to buy when I need to buy it, right? you need to have a diversity of housing stock. It used to be that our cities had both wealthy people and poor people living right next door to each other, sometimes in the same, like on the same block, right? And we don't see that anymore. But that really is what urban planners are starting to realize, is that mixture of rich and poor people right next to each other is what creates vibrant communities. So, back in when you started to see, so original cities, right? You would have, like, you can still see this in downtown Naperville, for example. Like, you've got all the tear downs, right? Tear downs are like, there was a normal size house there, and then someone bought the property and they tore it down and they built up this giant McMansion that goes like all the way to the edges of like the property line, and they live there with their one kid and their dog, right? Like, and so the whole community is becoming really like more homogenous in that regard. Like, it's all rich people now. But originally, and if you look in the neighborhoods, you'll see some of the houses some of them are normal size, like originally. Some of them were like small, like modest homes. Some of them were much larger homes that could fit huge families, or just had wealthy people in them. And some of them were the large homes that were actually more like single room occupancy hotels, right? That used to be a big thing. Cities don't really have that so much anymore because they considered it blight and so on. But it used to be that, and they were generally gender split. Like in Naperville, they mostly served North Central College. So for example, you'd see some of these really big homes that weren't actually big homes. They were where like all the women who like attended North Central College, like they were sort of like dorms, but not really. And you would see that all mixed together. And so when you come to, but then during like the great flight out of the cities, we decided, well, let's just zone the crap out of everything, make sure that black people only get to live on this side of the red line, and then and divide everything up so that rich people go here and poor people go here.
We'll put a highway through it.
Yeah,
Stevenson.
Right, that's right. But the result of that is when you see these huge economic disparities between North Side and South Side in Chicago, between Naperville and Aurora, right, in your downtowns. The way to really overcome that and build rich cities is to bring wealthy people into poor places and poor people into rich places, and create a diversity, because that's when you get a diversity of ideas, first of all, right? Like, that's when you see the arts start to explode, because you have your poor starving artists and then you have your rich people buying their art, right? So you've built a healthy economy. So I am super cool with building transit-oriented housing that brings people. I don't know what the demand is for transit-oriented housing in a post-pandemic world. I know it was huge before.
Yeah, I mean, I rode that train for 6 years.
It's
COVID.
rough.
That would have been great way back.
Right.
I don't know if Ariel Speedwagon right outside my window every day is going to be. But real quick, Dan Barrera tells us new residential development in the downtown is needed to attract businesses. These developments attract people who want to be near entertainment and mass transit. Yeah, very cool.
Yes, that is correct. And what you're seeing is still a demand for cool, hip downtown, like small downtowns. Like, people still want to live in those right. areas, right? Which is cool. 20 years ago, you would not have seen, people being like, yeah, let's move to downtown Aurora. But we have that now, and it's great.
Yeah, and and again, the person, the both of the posts that I saw and the people who wrote them are like, people I know and friends of mine, and I want them to know that, like, that's a long day. A new apartment building, hold on real quick, a new apartment building being built next to River Edge Park in a post-pandemic Aurora, which was looking for development before this, is a long day's march from 1930 to 40s practices of gentrification. It's a long day's march, and modern
versions of Logan Square, what you're saying in those kinds of neighborhoods.
I think that's a long day's march still to.
Well, so now the way to combat that, right? Like one of the best things that you can do is just make sure that the housing that you are building is mixed, right? That it has options at different price points. And that is difficult if you're building just like an apartment building or a condo building, because generally you kind of make them all the same or whatever, right? Like where they're all like granite countertops and fancy stuff, or they're all like basic, like budget, you can afford to live here sort of places. Building affordable housing units into your plan can really help like strike that balance. So, because usually developers can kind of afford, or you can make them afford if they really want to, if you really want to see this happen, to put these some affordable units in there. And what that does is it prevents this kind of runaway. Like first you see the one apartment building go up, then you go to the Starbucks goes in next door, and then you see the next giant one go in, and then suddenly, and then
course,
yes,
right. If they take away Torres Mania,
yeah,
and the next thing you know, you got Whole Foods, then you might have a problem.
Then you got problems,
right? If they get rid of Cermak,
yes,
and they put.
And I love the Cermak.
I don't know.
And
Trader Joe's.
Look,
then y'all can start blowing us up like, yo, it's ginger.
I do also love Trader Joe's.
Shout out, Trader Joe's got the best orange juice in the world.
Man, they got some things, right? But like Cermak has the best produce, and it's super cheap. So, I think that there is a way to do development for a variety of price points that benefits everybody all around, right? So it's just a matter of putting thought into it and not letting the developers kind of do whatever they want.
All right. Good morning, Maria Chorito, Marjorie Logman. All of you guys are here. Good to see y'all. Good to see y'all. It's Friday. Kevin on Broadway. They got this. Shout out to Aurora School Board. Shout out to who else can I shout out real quick?
All the people.
All y'all.
All y'all. All y'all,
Lisa
3 or more.
Islam, good morning to you. And Karina Suarez Darden. Dan also tells us that many Civil War vets are resting in the West Aurora Cemetery, and the Fox Valley Park District was created in the 1940s. In Aurora, Mayor Phillips donated land for a park now named after him. Wilder Park was donated, etc. See, that's what you got to do, right? You got to be famous like way back, so that way you can already have land and then donate.
I feel like
in 2020 whatever. Be talking about this was in the year 1980. Jeanette planted a tree, and now we have.
Yeah, can I just say
Park.
I feel like it was much easier to be famous like way long ago, right? Because there's only if there's only a few hundred people in your town, right? Like.
Oh yeah, word up. Anything you do, you make
like
headlines.
It's way right,
yep.
Right. You're like
he's the first man to
remember
how to put milk in a bottle.
Right. Yeah. We
were drinking it with our hands before.
That's right. Like, and then she bought 3 cows and started a dairy,
right,
and like famous, like landowner, like half of town is named after you.
Right.
Like I feel like it's just a little harder in the age of A, billions of people on the planet, and B, Instagram to like really stand out.
Imagine if they had Instagram, like.
Oh God.
Imagine if Henry Ford.
We wouldn't
have put if he could have took a pic of the Model T and put that on the gram, like, yeah, y'all just made this right now. What?
We probably wouldn't be here, and because I truly believe that social media might be the downfall of humanity. Like it might just.
Well, actually, I'm glad that you pointed that twice, because next week we're going to have a big discussion on social media here.
Okay.
On Good Morning Aurora.
All right, a little preview.
Thursday. We're going to be talking about social media in a wider context. What we will be trying to ascertain, and all of you, please, if you're listening right now, tune in, because we
know you are.
I know. I want you guys to leave, comment, drop a line, because it is important. Like, social media, is it getting out of hand, or do we have more stuff to do with it to help the world? I mean, we're doing great things with it, but you see stupid stuff. what's the deal, but that'll be on Thursday. And also, we got a voicemail number now. I want to let you guys know that once again, 331-256-7782. You can drop us a message, leave us a voicemail, and we'll shout you out. We'll shout you out on the air. We'll play it as long as it's like rated G.
Keep it classy.
Right.
That's like our mantra on this show. Keep it classy, Aurora.
Exactly.
Man.
331-256-7782. Keep it classy, Aurora. Okay. Last thing before we go is time is now 8:55 a.m.
Holy moly, that went fast.
It did. City Council set to vote on City Hall changes coming up. I told you guys about this Tuesday briefly.
Yeah, okay. Here's my only thought, right? So, like the City Council is going to vote on, we're adding all of these different positions, chief, who's a what's it, officers, and so on. And here's my ask. And it's obviously not going to happen because this is already way in play. And I don't really get a say in it. I should get more of a say in just like the world. Right? Anyway.
Well, what you mean you don't get it? Hold on.
I'm just saying.
Hold up. Wait. Hold on.
Like if I were like like president of the world. Right? Like if I just like in an imaginary. So I was about to go off on a tangent. No, just like if I were the queen of everything, here is what my ask would be of municipal governments, which would be when you are naming titles, when you're giving people titles, give people titles so that your average resident knows exactly what that person does, right? So like, shout out to the chief community service officers of the world who are clearly listening to this podcast right now. But nobody knows what that is, right? Because everyone's like, wait, you're the city. Isn't it all like community services, right? Like, isn't that what the whole city does? As opposed to the finance director. Oh, that person does the money. You know what I'm saying? Like, this were...
I dig it. I
like. Here's what I am just arguing.
The onus is on the citizen.
There is some onus on.
Some.
There's like yes. Yeah. The people need to be informed, which is why they listen to excellent podcasts like this, where I only make up like a tiny fraction of things that I say. No, it is incumbent on you to be informed. But when you have like crazy titles and stuff like that, I look at it and I go, I don't know, what is the community affairs department? Again, isn't every affair of the community? And look, it's tricky because when you're talking about departments like these, you're like, I don't know, we need somebody to be in charge of like a million different weird things. Like we need someone to be in charge of like the grant writer and also the the block parties and like all of these like weird things, and we just kind of like need to put it together under some kind of title, but people just have no like idea, like they don't know the difference between the development services department and the economic development department. Like who does? No, until you get into that as a bureaucrat, right?
No, you're right. But at the same time, here's the thing. Like, here's what busts my bubble, right? I don't like when I see a title that represents and would ascribe authority, and then there's another like there should never be an assistant executive director, right? The executive director, what do you need to be told? You're the admiral of the boat. Like, you shouldn't need delegating as part of leadership, but there should never be an assistant executive director. An assistant, that's something. That's ceremonial. That's kind of a deputy mayor.
I mean, but that's like a handing off of like, there's too much for one person to do, right? That's like a vice president, right? There's like a lot to get done. Someone's got to get some stuff done.
That is different. That's different. That's not me going into a building wanting to speak to the finance director, and yet I can't get past the junior finance minister.
Yeah,
that's different.
Well, just in general,
the mayor's out of town and there's a ribbon cutting.
Somebody got to go.
Yeah. And who do you want? The assistant finance director or a deputy mayor?
Okay. My basic point.
Oh, y'all
Okay. My yes, the live audience that's in the studio right now just talked about. And my basic point, and this is like, because I see this, like I'm on all the professional groups with like other people who have similar jobs, right, doing communications and things for cities, and they're always like, we have to create a title for this person, and they do like 12 things, and we don't really know what to call them. Like, if I could wave a magic wand, every city would have a standardized list of like, these are what you're allowed to call your departments. Make it work. And that way, everybody, just like everyone would have a website organized the same way. And that way, no matter what town you live in, you would come from another place and be like, oh, I know who to talk to about this problem, right? Because I think that is a problem that I see over and over and over again in cities, is people come here and they go, I just need someone to tell me when garbage day is. And they have no idea who to turn to.
But see, hold on. Now, but here's the thing. Now, that's my point right there. That is less the fault of the city. The thing. That's less a fault of the thing than it is of the person. If you walk into the thing and you see me, I don't care if I'm the junior copy ink provider or the intern or the vice president. It stops with me. Whatever you have, it stops with me. Humans, people. That's your magic wand thing. Make government look and it just be more efficient.
Just make it easier to understand.
My thing would, if I had a magic wand, I would make people less lazy. I would eliminate people. Well, that's not my job. No, you got to go down the hall for that shit. I'm not. No. Where you work in the basement of the joint? You're the first person I walk into with the directory number? No. Tell me where I buy garbage.
Okay, so here is the vision of Good Morning Aurora for how the world works from here on out.
The time is now 9:02. Damn.
Bureaucracy.
Okay, but
bureaucracy is now easy to understand and also super nice and helpful. That's it. The end. We didn't fix anything.
Well, we got Dan Guerrero here gave us a very good piece of information. Call 630-256-INFO for city information. Shouts out.
Yes.
Marjorie Logman tells us reducing city government just might reduce power, lower taxes, and give the public more access to what they are doing. They wouldn't like that. And Saul tells us more job titles equals more money to spend. But then also I saw this because this
it is a top heavy. It feels top heavy to me, but yeah. The more like,
you know what? I'm not even gonna.
We're not gonna go.
I'm not even gonna read that next comment because the rabbit hole is coming.
The rabbit hole.
This was a lot of fun.
We're going. Yeah.
Okay.
It always is.
So this was another great episode of Jenettesplaining on the second largest city's first daily news podcast.
I don't know that I explained anything. But maybe the parks thing. Maybe you learned a thing about parks. Yeah.
We
cemeteries.
Gotta go.
We're gonna go.
Jobs. All of you wonderful people. Subscribe to the YouTube.
Yeah, they don't pay us. They don't pay us for this, but
not yet.
You could. They could if your business is looking for a place to advertise.
Yes.
And reach our informed and engaged audience.
Good Morning Aurora. It's goodmorningaurora.com/advertise.
Yeah, just saying.
Patreon. And also, don't forget, Cotton Seed Creative Exchange, 8 North Broadway. Get your Good Morning Aurora gear, and stay tuned for the Mug Club.
Ooh.
Coming with Treadwell. Yeah, how about this?
I do love a good mug.
Imagine this. Let's go off the air with this. Imagine if, with a special mug, you could get the free drip coffee every day for a month.
Ooh.
Imagine that. I mean, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, damn, I like that.
Yeah.
Last words?
I got nothing. It's Friday. Go do your weekend.
I got some last words. Be blessed, be safe, be strong. Dudes can help other people. Neutral ground, they need help packing the backpack. Donate if you can. Marie Wilkinson's food pantry needs help. Aurora Interfaith Food Pantry, as well. Don't forget the back to school events taking place, CISA communities in school. And I would be remiss if I did not tell you to take care of yourself and each other.